A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant development in the ongoing conflict in Gaza, Israel is preparing to send a delegation to Qatar on Sunday for crucial negotiations with Hamas regarding a potential ceasefire and the release of hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed that despite deeming Hamas's proposed changes to the ceasefire plan as unacceptable, he has directed his team to engage in talks. This comes after a series of escalations in violence that have left thousands dead and many more displaced in both Israel and Gaza. The backdrop to these negotiations is complex, with nearly 21 months of conflict resulting in devastating consequences for the Palestinian territory. As the humanitarian crisis deepens, international pressure mounts for a resolution. The proposed ceasefire, which could last for 60 days, aims to establish a temporary halt to hostilities while negotiations for a more permanent solution take place. Netanyahu's office released a statement indicating that the Prime Minister had assessed the situation and decided to accept the invitation for proximity talks, even as he expressed reservations about Hamas's demands. The statement read, "The changes that Hamas is seeking to make in the Qatari proposal were conveyed to us last night and are unacceptable to Israel." This highlights the ongoing tension and mistrust between the two sides, which could complicate the negotiations. Hamas, on the other hand, has expressed its readiness to commence negotiations immediately, signaling a potential willingness to engage with the international community. On Friday, Hamas announced that it had delivered a positive response to the ceasefire proposal, which includes the phased release of hostages held in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. The situation on the ground remains dire, with Israeli strikes continuing in Gaza. Reports indicate that at least 35 Palestinians were killed in recent attacks, including families and civilians, further inflaming tensions. The international community is watching closely as these talks unfold, especially as U.S. President Donald Trump has been vocal about his desire to see a resolution to the conflict. Trump is set to meet with Netanyahu on Monday, and it is anticipated that he will push for a breakthrough during their discussions. The U.S. has been actively involved in mediating the conflict, and Trump has indicated that there is a possibility for a deal to be announced soon. "It's good that Hamas is positive, and there could be a Gaza deal next week," Trump stated, reflecting the urgency of the situation. Families of hostages held in Gaza have been advocating for a comprehensive deal that would ensure their loved ones' safe return. A rally in Tel Aviv saw numerous supporters calling for action, with emotional appeals from relatives of hostages. One father, Yehiel Yehoud, expressed his gratitude to Trump for previously facilitating the release of his daughter during a past ceasefire, urging him to continue his efforts for a big, beautiful hostages deal. The proposed ceasefire plan is believed to involve a staggered release of hostages, with 10 living Israeli hostages being released by Hamas, alongside the return of the bodies of 18 others. In exchange, Israel would release a number of Palestinian prisoners, a point that has been a significant sticking point in negotiations. Further complicating the situation, Hamas is demanding that humanitarian aid be distributed exclusively by the United Nations and its partners, insisting on a halt to operations by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which has been accused of being biased towards Israel in its operations. Additionally, Hamas is seeking guarantees regarding the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza, as well as assurances that hostilities would not resume if talks fail. The Israeli government, however, remains firm in its stance that military operations will not cease until all hostages are released and Hamas's military capabilities are dismantled. Far-right members of Netanyahu's cabinet have voiced their opposition to any perceived concessions, with National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir advocating for a more aggressive approach to ensure the return of hostages. As the conflict continues to escalate with tragic loss of life, the upcoming talks in Qatar represent a critical opportunity for both sides to seek a resolution. The international community, led by the United States, is hopeful that a ceasefire can be achieved, but the path to peace remains fraught with challenges. The families of hostages and civilians in Gaza are left anxiously awaiting the outcome of these pivotal negotiations, as the world watches closely for any signs of progress in the long-standing conflict. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.